Greetings, fellow OpenInsight software developers. My name is Robert Lee, and welcome to the second video in a series in which I talk about using OpenInsight as a tool to publish software on the internet. I shall assume that you have viewed the first video. In that video I discussed some of the hurdles that we OI developers face in attempting to get our application, or parts of our application, to the internet. I also introduced a new tool that I've created called O4WX, or O4W Extended, which promises to overcome these hurdles. I also promised to provide a demonstration of O4WX in action. So, without further ado, without further delay, and without any further cliches, it is my pleasure to introduce you to O4W Extended. There it is. A thing of beauty, isn't it? Well, I know it looks like a rather plain looking OpenInsight login screen, but that's because it is. And sometimes good things come in plain packages. You see, there's little in the way of a learning curve required for an OI software developer to create a form like this. If you can produce a form like this, then you're well on the way to being able to migrate your application to the web using O4WX. Were you expecting to see something happen in a browser window? We'll get to that later in this video, I promise. But first, let's take the time to see what's going on here. Remember in the last video I said that O4WX would work harmoniously both in the Windows environment and also on the internet. Well, this is an O4WX friendly form working in the Windows environment. And as you can see, it's virtually indistinguishable from any other OI form. It is fully functional, so we can test our app in the Windows environment and expect it to work in the internet environment. So if I try and log in with incorrect credentials, I get told that that's what I'm doing. So essentially this form has been slightly tweaked for aesthetic reasons only, so that the form will appear presentable on the web. In particular, we make use of group boxes in a way that we don't need to in the Windows environment. In Windows, group boxes serve only an aesthetic purpose and are not required. With O4WX, they are very helpful to assist us in grouping controls nicely on a web page. So most of the tweaking that we'll do for a form with O4WX is likely to involve making sure we are using group boxes in a way that is necessary to achieve a pleasing result. We may also want to move some controls around slightly, but once you get the hang of it, I would think that it would take less than 5 minutes to tweak an average OI form for use on the internet. So I'll now log into this application. And as is the custom on the web, instead of a username, I shall use an email address with a secure password. And here we have a menu. You can see that my killer app here has 1 subscriber. We'll go and have a look. And we'll discover that that subscriber is me. And that's how come I'm able to log in to this application. So what we have here is a straightforward database associated form. It has a range of controls on it, including a drop down, edit fields. We have a date field here, a symbolic calculated field here, radio buttons, an edit table down here, edit boxes over here, an email field, password field, and a range of buttons. It's the very standard menu options that are available with a standard OpenInsight form. Nothing terribly spectacular. So now we shall move into the second part of this demonstration, where we see OpenInsight for OpenInsight for Windows Extended working in the internet environment. In the internet environment, anyone who's worked with O4W will know that we start Java to connect OpenInsight to the web. and then we open a browser which is conveniently set to the correct home page. And here we have O4WX working in the internet environment. If I attempt to log in with incorrect credentials, I get told that that is so. So this is a fully functional implementation of the Windows form that we saw previously. Now I could just log in here as I did before, but on the internet we typically have this arrangement where we want to have new subscribers to our website. So I'm going to sign up a new person here. This is my son. Don't know why they have this re-enter email thing, but they do. And we'll give them a highly secure password. Hi Daniel, thank you for signing up. A registration email has been sent to your email address. Click on the link to complete registration. Okay. So we'll now go to Daniel's email account, check for messages, and he's received a new email. Hi Daniel Lee, thank you for signing up. Click this link to complete registration of your account. So here's another OpenInsight form that is presented on the web using O4WX. Here we can enter new information. This little date thing that has popped up here, this is a jQuery extension. So if you wondered what jQuery is for, there's a whole library of jQuery widgets or add-ons or clip-ons that we can build into our application and make it look rather professional. And the symbolic field was calculated. And as a software developer, you're probably well able to achieve this kind of result in a Windows application. I wonder if you would know how to do that in JavaScript. The good news is that it's not necessary that you learn how to do this in JavaScript, because O4WX takes care of that for you. And if you can do this in Windows, then this O4WX will make that happen on the internet. Similar here, this complete registration button is disabled until this person agrees to the terms and conditions. Nobody ever looks at the terms and conditions. Welcome Daniel, you've completed your registration. You may now log in. Okay. Let's log in. So now we have 2 subscribers to this killer app. We'll go have a look at the subscriber database. And sure enough, we have 2 people up on the screen. What we'll do down here is, this is a edit table if you remember. We can double click for options. Now in O4W, double click is not a standard option. The good news is that double click is one of the many events available in JavaScript, and so O4W gives us the capability to tap into any event that's happening in JavaScript. So we can double click here, as OpenInsight users are perhaps accustomed to doing, and we can choose the one and only organization on file at the moment, which is the Lee family. And so Danny Lee is now a part of the Lee family organization. So we'll save that. And we can actually do query by form, by the way. We can initialize a query. We'll select all males. We'll execute the query. And we've got Robert Lee has come up. The next one is Daniel Lee. We can go to the previous one, or the last one, or the first one. We can go to absolute and go to number 2. Or we can bring up the table and choose that one. And so you see we have a fully functional OpenInsight database associated form. We'll just close out of there. Why don't we have a look at organizations? That's another OpenInsight database associated form. The Lee family, and there's not much information in there about it, except we've got 2 people down here who belong to this organization. So obviously we have a relational index established there, and we'll close out of this form. And that pretty much brings our first demonstration of O4WX to a conclusion. Join me in the next video where we will take a peek behind the scenes to see what an OpenInsight software developer has to do to achieve working with O4WX.